Hi everybody, we have another message, this time from Joan. Hi, I'm a big fan of your vids. I looked I looked everywhere for info on this situation and haven't come across anything on the internet so far. I didn't know if it relates to narcissism in any way. So here it goes. This past week, me and my boyfriend, we lived together, had an argument. With every disagreement, I get locked out of the bedroom and ignored. Yeah, that's narcissism. For hours or a week. This usually happens about every fourth day of us getting along. As if I'm such a pain in the ass that the longest he can put up, that's the longest he can put up with me. I, I never know for sure if I'm getting the silent treatment or if he just needs time to be alone and cope. Sometimes I get so hurt and frustrated, I yell, and a lot of times I list off all the times he hurt me in the same way. If he got frustrated and smashed something of mine, he gets the list of all the stuff he broke of mine and has not replaced. Or I accuse him of making mountains out of molehills and picking fights with me because it's too much work to be nice to me. When he flirts with some girl on Facebook, I don't have proof, it's just how I feel at the time. I know I'm acting like a narc. I've been trying to suppress my feelings and not react, not yell as much. I've worked hard, but failed a lot. I didn't want to be the kind that would never change. Um, well, it sounds like he's got some pretty big narc tactics. The throwing you out of the bedroom, locking the door. That's something my father used to do to my mother all the time. He used to lock her out of the bedroom and oh God, the fights every 4 days. I mean, this is a narcissistic relationship. I don't know why you're questioning it. Him to getting to the point where he's breaking things. I mean, narcissists will break your possessions in order to get, because they want to hurt you as bad as possible. So there's nothing here I'm seeing so far that would indicate this isn't narcissism. The problem that is occurring that has got me in head spins is this. During last week's timeout period, he left his empty tobacco can on my makeshift bed. When I got home, I took that to mean he was out of tobacco and had no money. I also had no money, but I gave him half the tobacco I had. A few more days into the timeout period, he did the same thing. Only this time I had no tobacco or money. I went to the bedroom door and told him so in a non-emotional voice. He then bought himself a whole can and never offered any amount of tobacco to me. And I realized that he had money for tobacco the first time. He expected me to give him some because he only gets paid once a month and the payday was only a week prior. I felt used, manipulated, and now I was going to pay the piper. Go out, go out because I shared. So go without because I shared, so someone else would not go without. When in reality they were in no need. Now I will be stuck in the tobacco grumps for 3 more days until I get my biweekly pay. All cause I wanted to share with someone who doesn't even think I'm worthy enough to speak to. Right. He didn't want to go to the store, but he didn't want to have to be nice to you and ask you for tobacco or wanted to go buy whatever he wanted. So he just leaves it there. He left the tin there as almost like, well, if you give me some tobacco, maybe I'll be nice to you. But then when you saw what the game was, when you didn't have any, when he tried it again, you saw he had the money the whole time. And all he was doing, it wasn't necessarily about the tobacco. It was about trying to bring you to heel. He was trying to bring you under control and get something in return for it as well. Fast forward to today. The first day in 7, he seemed like he wanted to spend time with me, although leery. He rolled me a cigarette and I smoked it. We spent the day together, and every time he smoked a cigarette, he did share a few drags with me. But my resentment built because he was giving piecemeal, and every time I needed a drag, I felt like a beggar with each drag. Exactly. He was like, he was controlling everything. He was controlling it. When he pretended to need tobacco, give him I didn't give him just enough to roll one cigarette and make him ask each time. I had what I had and gave the most I could. In fact, I overgave because I neglected my bad habit and still have one more day of begging to go before I could get a paycheck. My resentment built. I kept telling myself to stop being stupid. This shouldn't bother you. It's petty. If you love him, this should not matter. Maybe he was upset and I don't remember he took advantage. I hid my stupidness all day. By 11 p.m., I failed. This is just he's enjoying the stress that he's putting you under. This is how he's getting his narc supply from you. All right, by you twisting in the wind like that, it's feeding his supply. You know, he wants to see you beg. He wants to hand you out one by one and make, even though you overgave for him. Remember, the rules don't, you're not on an equal playing field with a narcissist. The rules that applies to them do not apply to you. They can do, say, go wherever they want, and you can't even question it. So, I mean, it sounds petty, but in reality, it is petty, but that's what narcissists do. They take the petty things and make them into nuclear disasters. And when you are able to remove yourself from these situations and then be able to take an objective look from the outside, you get to see how crazy it is. I was dying for nicotine and could not wait for the convenient moment that he lit a cigarette. I now realize my problem is partly my own because I feel like I can't directly ask for anything. But at the time, I felt like he is already piecemealing tobacco when I just gave days before. He probably didn't want to give me any. So it would be wise to just skim the scraps, so I said. Hey, can I pick through the butts in your ashtray? Oh my God, listen. Like, I smoke, but like my addiction's not to that level on cigarettes. If you're going to the point where you're picking through cigarette butts you gotta, because part of your problem is your addiction to nicotine and cigarettes. That's also what's leading me into this. But after 3 days, all that nicotine should be out of your body. This is all mental now. I smoke because I like to smoke. I mean, but I'm never there like jonesing for a cigarette. Like, I'm never like, if I don't get a cigarette right now, I'm going to start shaking or freaking out. I don't have that type of like physically addictive personality. I don't get physically addicted to things. So, but you really need to work on your smoking habit and try to give it up. I mean, I'm trying to give it up, but if you're able to give up smoking, what power does he have over you at this point? I was fine with just okay, but instead I got a haughty yeah, but not the one I just put out. I lost it. I didn't yell, but I didn't let it flop out of my mouth. Hey, look, you have to remember that last Tuesday you were out of tobacco and I gave you half of what I had, which is why I don't have tobacco of my own today. Saturday you asked and I told you I have no tobacco or money. That prompted you to buy your own tobacco on Saturday with the money you had, but pretended you didn't have on Tuesday. And now it's the following Tuesday and you snottily tell me not to smoke your precious 3/4 cigarette stub. You are worth 1/4 can of tobacco and you want to give me shit over butts. He then comes out with, if you want a whole cigarette, then you should ask for one. Yet I was to take a cue from an empty can on my makeshift bed. I'm not suicidal, but this is the part that makes me want to dig a hole, get in, cover myself up, and just stop breathing. My guy starts doubling over in pain in his guts while we're sitting down. He then squirms, arching his back the other way like his lower back is cramping. Then he takes on a posture similar to the thinker, rubbing his forehead and eyes. His body seems to be seething in pain, his chest tightening, his throat swelling, as if to hold in the screams, breathing, hesitating, face in agony. Is he in real physical pain? Alarms and whistles go off in my head. Do you know some? Do something, but what? What the hell is this? What is happening to him? He's putting on an act. He's making you think he's has a heart attack or he's injured to bring you under control. That's what he's doing. He has done this before, and even if so, even and if I even so much as coddle him, put my hand on his shoulder, touch him in any way, it causes more pain, and a few times he has lashed at me. So I sat there fighting what I call the mothering instinct. I tell him, look, I'm sorry. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't mean to hurt you. I should have kept my mouth shut. Whatever point I wanted to make was not worth the pain I just caused you. I'm sorry. That is exactly the reaction he wanted from you, which is exactly why he did it. But it didn't help. He stayed in pain. I asked, do you want to work this out or do you want me to leave the room? For a while, he did not answer, so I sat there staring at the floor, completely ashamed. He then asked me under strain, if I ask you to leave the room, are you going to yell? The times I did break down and yell, he kicked me out of the room like I was a dog, or I left the room to go to the bathroom to come back to a locked door. I said, no, I won't yell. I love you. I'm sorry. If you need me, come get me. I left the room as calmly as I could, fighting tears, fighting resentment, fighting self-hate and hate for him, fighting off the war in my head that tells me nobody really likes you. You can only be tolerated for so long. Die. You make people feel bad just knowing you. You're fucked up. Look at what you do. That's why he's doing this to you, because you feel about yourself this way. This is why he does it, because he is a narcissist and he knows how to control you. He knows how to manipulate you. You know, he's not answering you because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you just walk out of the room, he's going to give you shit. He really probably wants you to yell so he can throw you out of the room like a dog. My situation is nutty and complex. I'm a fuck up, but the situations I had to work with in had a lot to do with my failures. I had to file for bankruptcy this year, just like a narc, after trying and failing to rid my credit card debt for 5 years, making double payments. I used my credit cards like they were my baby's daddy's for 18 years. And after 18 years, the debt, even with timely payments, was stuck at $18,000. The balance was $32,000 in 2009. Somehow, at the $18,000 mark, no matter what I threw down, the total would just not go down. And as I got older, my income got less. My car gets vandalized at least 2 times a year where I live. Bad enough that I have to go to insurance for help. The rest of the vandalism are usually tires or instances less than 500. I spent a ton on a car that looks like crap because I could never address all the vandalism. The bank still owns it, and if they saw it, they would probably want to jack my interest rate. I spent so much money on deductibles, I now can't afford to fix my safety issues. I live in a dump with no insulation, busted soffit, and wet walls. The most I can afford is $100 per month on heat. I know this is because of all the classes I had to take during bankruptcy. I learned the first year I lived here to take heat here that to heat this place with the gas system at 66 degrees costs $900 a month. I'm still paying for that mistake. Come to find out, $100 a month, that is how much of it costs to heat one room with the space heater I have. That one room being the room my guy uses to ignore me in, or the one we both hide from the cold when he likes me. So when I get the timeout, I get to freeze because my gas system does not work correctly. My thermostat is broken, no insulation. Drafts that I can't even figure out where they're coming from. I plugged up the ones I could figure out where they come from. As I write this, I can't feel the bottoms of my feet, and I have shoes on. Somehow I have wind coming up from the floors. I simply can't afford $200 a month to heat a second makeshift bedroom plus the original bedroom, so I freeze in hopes I will not run up any more debt after being helped with my first debt mess. Living within my means is hell. As I write, my guy is in pain, and I should feel nothing but compassion for him. Yet, instead of compassion, I feel anger mixing up my care for him. He has all the heat I can afford, yet I freeze because he doesn't care to share heat with me because I'm just that bad. But then again, I am bad for my anger is eating up. Then again, I am bad for my anger is eating up my compassion. Perhaps I deserve the cold. After living 13 months with me for absolutely free, I begged him for help, for rent help. He agreed to pay 300 of the 700, so I had a chance to catch up on the 1800 in arrears. But he only gave me 300 when he is up to it. He makes 733 a month. He does have about 150 in legit legal fees. He acts like I ask too much. I can't even keep good on the current rent alone to save money to move or heat the whole apartment like a normal human. I make $1,300 a month. A budget doesn't work with shit income, let's face it. Anything I could figure out to do just doesn't make money. Narcs are bad with money. Narcs are cheap. I am fucking broke, and am I doomed to be a narc? I'm broke, head and all. Do you have an idea what is happening? Because I sure don't. Well, thank you for your message. And I'm sorry for the situation you're in. You need to throw this guy out because he is only drawing your resources. Why are you in a cold? He's in a heated room and you're in the cold for a place you're paying for. Throw him out. The guy's a narc. Now, I don't know what you went through in your past that put you on this that put you on this path to make you susceptible. But where you're saying you're always bad and you deserve this, like that's all signals of narcissistic abuse. It is. It's all signals that you've been abused by narcissists. And I said this before, as far as you being worried about being a narcissist yourself, narcissists don't even ask the question whether or not they may or may not be a narc because it's too far into them. This guy is a user. He's a manipulator. Sounds like he might have some kind of drug problem as well. You need to be no contact with him. I don't know if you're getting any help from the state or if you're working a job, if your money is from the state or not. I mean, but there are state programs that should be able to help you heat your house. I mean, if you have wind coming up through your floorboards, where's your landlord? It's illegal. You need to call your housing authority, have them come in, tell them that you're renting a place without heat. You got wind coming in through your floorboards. There's holes in the place. That's it. It's illegal to have somebody live like that. So you need to be able to talk to your landlord or confront your landlord and say these living conditions are unacceptable. They're unacceptable. If you're using space heaters, doesn't the apartment have gas heat or electric heat? Space heaters use up a lot of electricity. They're one of the biggest draws you can have on your electric bill. That's why it's costing so much to heat your apartment. I mean, if you have an electric heating system throughout the whole apartment, yeah, that's going to be pricey because electric heat is expensive. Where do you start? You start by kicking this guy out and getting him out of your life because he doesn't give a shit about you. He only cares about himself. He only uses you for narc supply and money and a roof over his head, and he abuses you in the process of doing it. So you're not going to get any better when you're living with somebody who does nothing but drag you down and destroy your life and make you think you're the problem and everything you do is wrong and bad and it's all your fault. Everything in this letter screams of narcissist manipulation, screams of it. Okay, his tactics are no different than any other tactics I've read on this channel 100 times. So I hope that helps. Thank you for your message. I hope things get better for you. Thank you everybody else for watching. Please leave your comments or any advice you have in the comments section below. And again, if you want a video of your own made with your own story, please make a contribution to the PayPal link. You guys know what to do in the description box, and I'll have it right out to you. Solly Matthews, thanks again for watching. I'll see you all again soon.